Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. And in today's video we have this 2022 Toyota Rav4 Prime, and we're going to do the rear chrome delete installation for this vehicle. So as you can see, this is how it looks before doing the installation. It's just a regular chrome panel on the rear, and this is how it looks after the installation. So we use the gloss black material, that way it matches the two-tone design that the vehicle already comes with. For this product, you could use it on the limited trim of the Rav4, the XSE and the XSE Prime, because the rear panel on the back of the vehicle has this chrome design. We know for the other vehicles, for the other trim levels, this piece here comes colored with whatever color the vehicle comes with. For the limited trim and the Prime and the XSE, this comes out chrome. Link for the product will be in the description below. With that being said, let's get started with the installation video. So before starting with the installation, we need to make sure we prep the panel. So to prep it, you could take the vehicle through a car wash. Just make sure if you do take that option, make sure that the panel is completely dry. Another thing you can do, get a spray bottle, add water and baby shampoo, mix it together to create the solution. Once you have your solution, spray it onto your microfiber towel, not on the panel, on the microfiber towel, just so it could be easier to clean and it's more faster to dry the panel off before doing the installation. So just make sure remove all the contaminants that the panel will have, and then we can start with the installation. Just make sure everything is completely dry, that way the adhesive on the film sticks better to the panel and it doesn't get damaged. We're going to start by installing this middle piece here first. So with this one, you could align it to the top. Just make sure if you align it to the top section here, make sure everything stays aligned and you don't accidentally crease the film. So just place it as you go until you reach to the other end. And if you need to lift the film to fix it, align it, you can. Just make sure if you do lift it, let's say for example here, lift it carefully just with both hands. That way you don't accidentally tear the film, just like that. And then just make sure you give yourself enough material to cover the lower end. And then with your squeegee, start tacking down the top piece here first. So in order to avoid creasing the film, lift it carefully because there is air behind it, and just squeegee at an angle. And with this one, you could either tuck in the film underneath the gasket here. All you need to do is just lift it and tuck it in inside. You could just trim it to the exact point where the gasket meets the panel here. It's all up to you. Just make sure you're not exposing the chrome. And then with this one, we only made it up to this design here, because if we created more film to go tucked in inside, it's just going to crease since it's just a small area and the curve is a little too deep. So we want to avoid creasing the film in this curve, so we made a different piece for this section here. Make sure you continue on tacking down all of the film. Don't squeegee this middle section yet, and then just tack it down here. Work your way from one end, stop here, don't squeegee this piece, and don't squeegee here. Reason being is because we're going to add heat to remove this finger here. Stretch it and then tack it down. So to remove this finger, you would lift the film, apply heat, let it cool off, stretch it, and tack it down. So you'll see what I mean. So apply heat, let the film lose its tension, let it cool off, and then stretch and tack it down. So hold it as you tack down. This helps avoid creasing the film and also makes it look flat. So you just apply heat, hold it, and tack it down. That's pretty much it. And you would just do the same steps for this side to this end. So just lift it carefully, hold it in position, apply heat, and then tack it down. Let it cool off, and then stretch it, hold it in place, and then tack it down with your squeegee. And remember, any excess material will just get trimmed off, but it should cover everything down here. As long as it's aligned here, everything should be good. And like I said, with this one, you could either trim it or tuck it inside. Let's say you want to tuck it inside. You could use your squeegee to lift the gasket just a little bit and then tuck it in inside. If you don't want to take your time to do this part, then you could trim off the excess material. Up to you, depending on how you want to go about the installation. So let's say we stop there. I don't want to tuck inside. Grab your blade and just find the gap between the gasket and trim off that excess material. So there's different options to going about it. The tucking in will be a little bit more easier since you don't have to trim, but you would just take your time tucking in the film and just tack down the rest. And that's pretty much it. And now just apply heat to help it tack down. Okay, and now we can move on with the next piece, which would be this section here. Okay, so now we move on with this one. So just make sure you align it right on the edge to cover the panel. Just follow the design. Lift it carefully if you need to adjust it, and it should cover everything here. And then with this piece here, we're going to do the same thing that we did here. Hold it, apply heat, and then tack it down. That way we'll avoid having any fingers. Apply a little bit of heat, let it cool off, and then with your squeegee, help it tack down. And just like that, it should feel flush. No fingers here, no fingers on the edge here. Any excess material will get trimmed off. And now we could tack down the rest of the film. And then add heat here so we can seal it, and that way we could apply this last piece here. And then trim off the extra material on this end. Just be careful not to cut the paint or scratch the paint. Take your time, and it should look good. And now we move on to this piece here. So for this last piece here, what you need to do is first align it on these two sections here. Once we align it, we're going to help the film tack down like this, and then it should fall into place. So align it here, make sure you match it. If it overlaps just a bit, it's perfectly fine, but you could do it just exact to the design of where we left off. And make sure you give yourself enough material to cover the inside curve here. So then make sure everything falls into place. Align it, align it, align it. Leave this here, that's fine, we'll tack it down after. And then just make sure it falls and covers here. It looks like it's going to be good, covering the inside here. And now just grab your squeegee and start little by little tacking down this curve. That way we have an idea of where it's going to land. And make sure you remove any air bubbles that are trapped behind the film. And then this is where we start tacking down. Here you might need to apply heat to tack it down, but if you don't, that's perfectly fine. And this piece should cover this section here. So tuck in inside. This piece, you're going to help it tuck in inside as well, and it should go perfectly in. And then here, lift it to tuck it in, and it should do a nice coverage on the inside here. And then just finish off this section, so just help it tack down inside to cover the chrome. And if you need to apply heat to help it tack down, you can. So let's start applying heat just to secure the edges here. And then here, if you could just apply it without adding heat. So let's say if I don't apply heat, make sure this area is tacked down and tuck it inside with your finger or with your squeegee like this. And it should just sit perfectly fine. And you would just come back and trim off the excess material, and that's pretty much it. So trim off the excess material. Be careful not to scratch the vehicle. Take your time, and then remove the excess material. And the same steps we did here, you just rinse and repeat to the other end, and you're basically done. Just make sure if you do need to stretch it here to cover everything, add heat to stretch it, but if you don't, that's fine. And it should look like this. Also, another thing, you could also install this one first, then this one, and then this one on top, just so it looks more flush. So it's different preferences. Just make sure that however way you installed it, just make sure you trim off any excess material. So right here, you could trim off any excess material. That way it looks more connected. But we just give you guys a little bit more to work with. That way you cover most of the chrome. So you see now it looks a little bit more flush. And that's pretty much it. And then once you're done installing this one, rinse and repeat to the other end. And then once you're done, pulse heat the entire panel. So now that we finished with the installation, the last step to do is to apply heat. So this step is considered pulse heating. So we need to pulse heat the whole entire panel. And then once you're done pulse heating, we're done with the installation. Okay, so that concludes the installation video for the rear chrome delete for the 2022 Toyota Rav4 Prime. We hope that this video helped you guys out with the installation. Just make sure when you're doing these steps here, take your time, align it and adjust it to where you need to, and just apply heat if you need to apply it around the curve, and it should be all good. We hope that this video helped you guys out with the installation. If it did, don't forget to drop a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe and turn on that notification bell. That way you don't miss any upcoming installation videos. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.